Hello, I'm Randy Swallow. Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. For the next half hour, we'll talk county issues and District A issues with a man who represents the area, your commissioner, Commissioner Michael Naft. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back.
How are you doing today, Commissioner?
Great, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. We're here outside Metro's South Central Area Command on Las Vegas Boulevard, just south of Mandalay Bay in District A. District A is massive, encompassing the communities of Jean, Prim, and State Line. Miles east of the Colorado River town of Laughlin, Boulder City, and much of Henderson are part of this vast district. Portions of the South Strip and communities and commercial zones along the 215 Beltway are all located in this district. Here's a quick look in your neighborhood, District A. Part stormwater protection and the rest recreation, the Charlie Frias Park doubles as a flood control detention basin and a place to shoot hoops or just cool off. Laughlin is located in the southernmost part of Clark County, and this Colorado River Township is a dynamic place to live, work, and play. Clark County is responsible for essential infrastructure, public safety, parks, and roadway services to the community, located just 90 miles south of the Las Vegas Valley. And much of Las Vegas Boulevard is located in District A. The Strip is a tourist destination for tens of millions of visitors annually. Clark County provides a variety of services to keep everyone's visit safe and memorable. County crews maintain the street and work in partnership with Strip stakeholders to provide public safety, transportation, and much more. For the next couple years, the most visible location near the South Strip will be the 10-level domed stadium that will become home to the Las Vegas Raiders of the National Football League. The UNLV Rebels team will also be a prime tenant in the 65,000-seat facility, with completion scheduled for the summer of 2020. The south portion of Las Vegas Boulevard is located in the largest district in Clark County, District A. Commissioner, you brought us out here to the South Central Area Command. I know you're, as we all are, big supporters of Metro. You've ridden along with officers a couple times lately. Tell me how that's going.
I have. It's gone great. So South Central is the area command that represents a big piece of the district that I represent, District A on the Clark County Commission. They're situated right off Las Vegas Boulevard and Russell, just beyond the I-15 and just north of Town Square. So they're situated in a really convenient location, but they also cover a lot of really important turf within my district. As you mentioned, a few weeks ago I had the opportunity to do another ride along with South Central, and that is always such a great way for me to get into the district, but to see it through an entirely different lens. Something that they offer it to all citizens, and I would recommend my constituents taking advantage of that. But from my perspective, getting to see the day-to-day job of a police officer here with Metropolitan Police Department has been so valuable. It shows me specifically what's on their plate, what's in their queue, and what they're doing on a regular shift.
And obviously their purview or the crimes that happen change as we're coming around to the holiday season. Gosh, you know, they're looking at different things like car break-ins and things like that, but things that we could all probably help prevent to a certain degree.
That's exactly right. You don't necessarily think of crime as being in line with the seasons, but it absolutely is. In the summer months, when it's hot outside, we have a different set of concerns than we do going into the winter months. And with the holidays coming up, shoplifting, but also crime from vehicles is a big problem. So they're putting out some warnings. They're giving tips for people to stay informed, best practices, and we're right up the street from Town Square, so it is a good reminder to make sure you're locking your cars, you're securing your packages, you're covering them up. If you have a hatchback and it's open through a window, make sure you're covering things and not giving anyone an opportunity to commit a crime against you.
A different type of crime fighting that we probably don't think about, that obviously these people are. I know you did a tour of Allegiant Stadium with Sheriff Joe Lombardo, and gosh, all of a sudden you're going to have 60 or 70,000 people all in one area at that one time. What strategies did you learn, or what type of things did you not know about?
Well, that was really important to me. Prior to the Board of County Commissioners voting to essentially close Hacienda overpass over the I-15 during event days. I wanted to make sure that we had not only the perspective, but the buy-in from Metro. They're the ones that have to enforce what goes on after Clark County goes ahead and shuts down a road, particularly one as sensitive as Hacienda. So I walked it with Under Sheriff McMahill and with Sheriff Lombardo, and along with Don Webb from the Raiders. And we walked the entire path. We walked back and forth along the bridge, and through his eyes I was able to see exactly what some of the concerns of law enforcement might be. In the end, he felt very comfortable with the decision of the board. He provided a letter of support to close down the bridge for event days, which I think will be an incredibly important part of both ingress and egress to the stadium. As you know, we're expecting a huge amount of people to come to that stadium by foot. Roughly 26,000 is how many they're estimating. So ensuring that we have a path for them to walk that's lit, that's safe, that's well signed, is all part of the work we have ahead.
I think a lot of people may have missed that what the hotel tax, which is funding portion of the stadium, also is paying for more cops on the street, which obviously is very useful at the south end of the Strip and for major events taking place at Allegiant.
Absolutely. We need law enforcement to be fully prepared and to have the tools necessary to secure that facility.
Commissioner, as we're talking a little bit about Allegiant Stadium, the last time we talked, we were in your neighborhood. It was just Las Vegas Stadium, unnamed stadium at that. It's really terrific that we've got the buy-in from a local company such as Allegiant.
I think so too. I know when the Raiders were considering who to do business with, they wanted someone who would be a long-term partner and someone who could really get in at the early stages to really create that synergy. I think it was a good selection. I think Allegiant, being, as you say, a local company, really adds some significance to people like myself who live and grew up here, rather than having some national or international brand come in and slap their name on the side of the building. This is really being borne out with the stadium.
And as this stadium is being progressed, as it's being under construction, there still is no signage up there, and there's still a little bit of, not confusion, I don't even know what the right word is, but it's just a matter of doing things. We see planes taking off here. Obviously the FAA is a huge stakeholder, and everything that happens in that stadium must fit copacetically with McCarran.
That's right. I spent a few years working for the federal government before this, and you know, with all best intentions, sometimes the federal government doesn't move, particularly some of the agencies like the FAA, which needs to be deliberate and thoughtful. Things take a little bit longer than the average person might think they ought to, and that's why you've seen some delays with the sign package, but it's all going through the process, and I don't think it'll be a problem.
And the parking situation seems to be working itself out a little bit, more satellite parking lots and things like that. In fact, now the county is even going to be a landlord where we're going to be renting parking.
And I think that's a great deal. The county's going to actually profit from this piece of land over by the Boot Barn up the street and up Las Vegas Boulevard and South End. We're going to get to profit. We've been trying to sell this parcel of land for a couple years now unsuccessfully, but now we have a partner who's willing to lease it from us at a really great rate, fair market value. And it's also going to help provide that community benefit and that solution to the parking problem. And something to keep in mind too is that the benefit of having some of these parking lots that are a little bit more remote versus you know, having almost like you see at the Speedway, it tends to bottleneck up there. There are some significant advantages to having people walk a little bit before they get to their car. And that's really going to help alleviate some of the bottleneck and some of the congestion that you might see after a game or event.
I think that's the last time we talked. That's exactly what you said, that you and the stadium
I'm
planners
glad
are
I'm
more
being consistent.
Absolutely, more concerned about the egress than people coming to the stadium, because people are going to be staggering. They're going to come at staggered times.
That's right. When you're coming to a football game, it's an all-day event. You might come within a 4-hour period, but if it's a close game, you might leave within a 20-minute period, and that's when it becomes a little more complicated.
Commissioner, let's talk a little bit about the third year of a crime-fighting tool that Metro is using called ShotSpotter. It's a sound triangulation that detects gunfire, and for the third year now that the county is stepping it up, this is going to be across all 7 districts now. Tell me about ShotSpotter.
ShotSpotter is a tremendous technology that has already saved lives in our valley, I believe. Lieutenant Dory Corin has really headed up this program through the Fusion Center at Metro's headquarters downtown. And it is, just as you described, it's an audio device. We're able to install them with some of our equipment, some of our county equipment, and through a third-party vendor, they're able to pick up on the sound of shots being fired. So these aren't devices that are listening in on anything going on in the street. It's only triggered when that sound of a shot is fired. And what that helps do, some of my constituents might not realize this, but unfortunately, the majority of gunshots are never actually reported. For a variety of reasons, people don't tend to call 911. We still want to encourage them to do that. This isn't instead of that. But in addition to calling 911, if that shouldn't happen, these devices are out there. They're able to pick up, create a ping, and if it's identified as a shot, then it's given to Metro to investigate and get out on the scene and figure out what exactly happened.
I think some statistic I saw is about 1,000 a year. That's three gunfire incidents a day that may or may not have been reported, or allows our crime fighting units to get out there quicker.
Exactly. It's amazing what's, for better or worse, things are happening in this valley that you don't always pick up on. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be there to help solve those problems, even if you aren't aware of them.
Commissioner, I know just in the past couple of weeks that you were involved with a small business workshop, and not so much, we have different workshops that teach people how to do business with Clark County, but the small business, the entrepreneurs are the backbone of our economy.
What this was a program dedicated to folks looking to start a business in Clark County. Sometimes the biggest barrier to opening a business can be local government. So I wanted to make sure to, through education and information and providing services, that we make it as easy for people who want to invest in their community. So we partnered with the Metro Chamber of Commerce, with the Asian Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber, and the Urban Chamber, along with about 6 or 7 of our county departments and the fire department, to have this several hour-long workshop for people looking to learn the rules, learn the regulations, and figure out how to do things the right way when opening a business.
Is there any common theme or common issue that small business people were coming up to you, besides the fact of hacking through that government red tape?
Well, I think having access to people with answers is so important, and a lot of people didn't necessarily realize that simply by calling or coming to the county or reaching out to my office, we can help navigate them. We're not just looking to throw people out into the wilderness and do it on their own. We have directors and staff at the county who are not only willing but eager to help people come through our process. So sometimes that can be intimidating if you don't know who to call or where to turn to, but getting an opportunity at that workshop to meet the directors of our different departments and to meet the personnel who are there to help you, I think really brought down those barriers.
The county does want them to succeed. The county
Absolutely.
does want to partner with them.
Yeah, it's in all of our best interest.
Great. We must take a short break. We'll continue in your neighborhood with District A Commissioner Michael Naft. Stay tuned to In Your Neighborhood.
I think I'd be locked up right now if it weren't for the harbor.
Fighting drug or alcohol use and changes in behavior are all warning signs that a youth may need help.
I got in a fight and got expelled from school, and my mom took me to the harbor for help.
The harbor is a safe haven for troubled kids and their families. The goal is to give them resources so problems don't escalate. We know kids in crisis can become adults in crisis. Prevention and early intervention work.
They helped me get my life back on track. Sometimes you just need a fresh start.
The harbor offers hope and second chances.
Hi, I'm Clark County Commissioner Michael Naft, and I'm excited to announce the next round of Coffee and Conversation. I hope you and your family will join me for one or more of these informational meetings to discuss Clark County, our departments and agencies, and how I can best serve you. For more information, call 702-455-3500 or follow me at Michael Naft on Twitter. I look forward to seeing you all around A.
District A is home to the under-construction Allegiant Stadium. This $2 billion dome stadium sits in the shadow of the Strip, but will be the finest structure of its kind when it opens in the summer of 2020. Employing thousands of construction workers, Allegiant Stadium will be home to a couple major tenants, the Las Vegas Raiders and the UNLV Rebels football team. A variety of concerts, special events, and other sporting activities will be held at Allegiant Stadium. And we're just down the road from the stadium talking issues with your commissioner, Michael Naft. Commissioner, you are going to be the chairman now of the Traffic Safety Commission, which came out of an amazing traffic forum this summer at UNLV. I know you convened this and you got all the stakeholders, from people building the roads to law enforcement enforcing it to everyone else. Why is this? Why are we bringing this commission?
I think it's important because this is a man-made problem that needs a man-made solution, and it's not something that is so complex that we can't come together and fix it. This is an achievable goal to reduce the numbers of fatalities. 2018 we had 135 fatalities on our road. Just recently we had another 7-car incident, and as a result of a DUI that resulted in 1 fatality and 1 critical injury in my district at Tropicana and Rainbow. I think people are tired of picking up the paper and turning on the TV, and again we almost become jaded to vehicular fatalities that impact both drivers, passengers, and of course pedestrians and cyclists. And we can do something about this, and I plan on it.
21,000 car crashes in Metro's jurisdiction, and as you said, 300 motorists, cyclists, or pedestrians died on Nevada streets last year. That's way too many. And you see something like just over here to our left, bollards were not even considered, were not a seemingly simple solution. Something like that is going to save lives.
And it already has. We had just up the strip, shortly after the bollards were installed, we had an incident where a driver ran into the barricade just feet away from where a group was sitting on a bench on Las Vegas Boulevard. And we hate to think what could have happened if those bollards weren't there. So they've made a big impact already.
Let's keep the cars away from the people and people away from the cars. I know another pedestrian bridge is getting close to being on track at the south end of the strip.
Yeah, I get asked all the time about when the next pedestrian bridge is coming and do we think it's too many bridges. My answer is always, if it's saving lives, if it's helping people get across the street and helping cars get through the boulevard, it's worthwhile.
Commissioner, I know that Virgin, is now discussion again for a high-speed train between Las Vegas and Victorville, about 170 miles, which would be a 90-minute trip, and which would the terminal would be down here at Las Vegas Boulevard near Warm Springs or Blue Diamond, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to me about this.
I'd be happy to. So Virgin Trains is looking at bringing this high-speed rail system to southern Nevada to connect us with Southern California, which I get a lot of constituents calling me, particularly after this came out. Is this really going to happen? We've been talking about this for most of my life. About 30 years ago, we created the Nevada-California High-Speed Rail Commission, and they'd been working diligently all this time, but there's never really been a project like this, in my view. What makes this one different are several things. One, it's privately funded. There's no taxpayer dollars being spent on this or being proposed for this project, which I think is the right way to go. And then also, they have a route. They're at 30% designed, and most importantly to me, they're doing this in Florida.
During their presentation, I think what really stuck with me, Commissioner, is that they were talking what you said about the Florida train. They're trying to pick areas that are too close to fly and too far to drive, and that would get a lot of people out of their cars. And when they're coming to Las Vegas, as we know, that's a lifeline from Southern Cal coming here in the weekends. Climb on a train and be here a lot quicker.
You're right. In fact, they're anticipating 4.5 million cars being removed from the street. Not only is that a solution to the traffic problem that we are facing on the I-15, but it's also a solution to the climate struggles that we're dealing with. 4.5 million cars being removed from the street will have a huge environmental impact on our valley. And
as much as a $2 billion economic impact from the front end of construction jobs and everything else, what you just mentioned?
Exactly. They're anticipating 13,500 hands will touch this project throughout the course of construction, and that's not only is that timed so well with some of our major projects sort of wrapping up, but it has a big impact on people's lives when they have good, well-paying jobs here to keep them in southern Nevada.
Commissioner, I know you were down recently at the Henderson Executive Airport, the largest business aviation trade show, and again, let's keep things sustainable aviation fuel. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, Henderson Executive for the first time provided pilots flying in and out for the NBAA, the National Business Aviation Association conference, with this alternative fuel option, sustainable fuel, which I think sends such a great message that Southern Nevada and the Department of Aviation, along with the NBAA, are willing to step up and look at forward-thinking technologies that will move people around. And also the impact of, I have to say, the NBAA conference I've always been an advocate to try and get them to come here every year. Right now we have them every other year. We share them with Florida. But I think Las Vegas would be a great venue for them to come every year, as it contributes about $40 million to our economy.
We're certainly not trying to steal any thunder from our good friends in Henderson, but that part of West Henderson might be one of the most aggressively growing areas for commercial and retail and residential in that area. Obviously the Raiders practice facility is going up there, which seemed to have boomeranged with a lot of other business, but obviously that strains into Clark County and into interstate exchanges at Star Avenue and things like that, that it's all part of the whole process, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important that we're at the table. Mayor March and I have a really good relationship. We've known each other a long time and are working closely along with the teams of both the county and city of Henderson. In fact, I was out there with their city planning department and with their deputy chief of police recently over at the Costco on St. Rose. I had a couple questions about some of the crime that had been occurring over there with the increase in development and the increase of traffic and congestion along St. Rose. So we've been keeping in close contact, and as it turns out, the statistics are actually down. They've been doing a really good job fighting back against some of the opportunities for crime as traffic increases.
Let's talk about an excellent regional park or excellent sports park in District 8, James Regional Sports Park. This place has got 9 soccer fields. I believe it's the largest soccer facility in Southern Nevada very quickly. And I know recently the Adams Heart Foundation sponsored and put in automated external defibrillators, which can and will save lives.
I was so proud and so appreciative of our RPM department and Parks and Rec for quickly moving. I was approached a few months back from Adams Heart, which is a foundation that helps fund these big heart boxes, and inside the hearts are of course the defibrillators. We installed 4 so far at James Regional Park. I have no doubt that those will save lives, and what was really special about that is they were named for individuals who had lost their lives. So when we did the presentation and the installation, we came together with the families of the namesake of each of those 4 boxes, and that'll be a legacy for those families to live on in the park. And again, like you said, that park is incredible. I have to tell this story about it. We've held 2 movie in the parks at James Regional along with my colleague Commissioner Jones. That park's right on the border of my and his district. And on 2 separate occasions we gave out popcorn at this event, and people had dropped some popcorn on the grass. You wouldn't think anything about it in a normal park, but this park is so pristine that they actually started sweeping up, like you would, as though they were indoors, sweeping up the popcorn and throwing it away, which is, I think, really important to making sure that we continue to keep that park as pristine as possible.
Commissioner, you mentioned your that event with Commissioner Jones. You've been all over the place. I love that you put your newsletter All Around A, because you are all around A, and you've had at least a half a dozen or more coffee confabs or discussions or things with Congresswoman Titus, local legislators. Why is it that important to get different levels of government involved and to meet your constituents?
I believe that every single one of our 10,000 employees at Clark County, and certainly county commissioners, our number one job should be customer service. And to me, that doesn't mean sitting at a desk in a big government building. It means going out into the community and quite literally meeting people on their doorsteps if need be, to make sure that we're as accessible and approachable as possible. So we've done this series of coffee and conversation events. We've done a couple dozen of them now, and we've partnered with almost every legislator that's nested within District A, recently with Congresswoman Titus, and we try to go to locally owned small businesses, coffee shops, to give them a little bit of business and publicity, but also to bring neighbors together to help build community.
And people, I'm sure they know that you've been out in Laughlin and Searchlight several times already since you've been here. What types of things are those constituents asking
I'm glad
for?
you asked. So something I love doing is I go out there for a coffee and conversation, and whatever issue I hear the most about, whether it's crime or in this case, we heard a lot at my first coffee and conversation in Searchlight about healthcare and the lack of available services. So the next month I came out there along with about a dozen or so healthcare providers and did this free Searchlight health fair. We gave folks there the opportunity to have free flu shots, free vaccines. We did vision exams. We're giving eyeglasses to children. The mammogram van was out there performing its screenings, dental exams, programs, CPR training through UMC, the full gamut of things that, frankly, some of my constituents in Searchlight just simply wouldn't drive into the valley for some of these services. So bringing it to them is so important.
This man is everywhere. We must take a short break. We'll continue in your neighborhood with your Commissioner from District A, Michael Naft. Stay tuned.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
District A is home to the James Regional Sports Park. This immense recreation facility is already one of the best soccer complexes in the valley, with 9 fields spread out over 61 acres, which are well utilized by club, competitive, and high school teams. State-of-the-art LED lighting and a handful of automated external defibrillators are just some of the modern amenities at James Regional Sports Park, which is situated near Durango and Warm Springs in District A. And speaking of District A, we're talking with the man who represents the area, your Commissioner, Michael Naft. Commissioner, I certainly didn't mean to cut you off in that last segment because you are all around A. Tell me what you and your staff have working for the next couple months here as we're going into the holiday season.
Thank you for asking. We've got some great events coming up. In the coming weeks, we'll have another coffee and conversation. Those are regular events, so if you should ever want to attend a coffee and conversation, just call my office. Give me a call at 702-455-3535. And I always post that information on Twitter at Michael Naft or on Facebook at Michael Naft, so you can make sure to find out when the latest coffee and conversation is with you. We, of course, also post those on Nextdoor, so you can really see when one is happening in your neighborhood. And then also coming up in the next couple weeks, we're going to do an open house at Fire Station 38 in Silverado Ranch. That's going to be at 5:30, and we're going to bring the pizzas, and the firefighters are going to let you look at their equipment and have some opportunity to have them answer any questions that constituents might have.
You have a very large social media presence. Is that, you find that's a very useful way to outreach?
I do. I'm not very good at it. I try to get better with it, but I do see the benefits of the tools. And I think having that accessibility really is vital. So I always tell people to, if you want to know what I'm doing and where I'm at, follow me on Twitter. And then you can help join the conversation. You can be at some of the things that we're doing and learn more. The county does so many incredible things that people don't often realize. We have 38 departments that cover so many issue areas. So if there's something you want to be involved with, simply follow us on social media or call my office and we'll get you involved.
Put this on here also.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Commissioner. Always a
Thank
pleasure
you, Randy.
talking to you.
My pleasure.
That wraps up this edition of In Your Neighborhood. Thanks to our friends at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and Commissioner Michael Naft for taking time to tell us about the area he calls home and represents as your elected official, District A. If you have any ideas about this show or ideas for upcoming segments in your neighborhood, call me. I'm at 702-455-6357 or send an email to rsw@clarkcountynv.gov. Thanks for tuning in to Clark County Television. On behalf of our production staff, I'm Randy Swallow. We'll see you again next time in your neighborhood.